Here we go again. Nobody voted for him, but he still won. What am I talking about? Well, if you watch Mike of the Night, you've been watching Mike of the Night for the last couple of months now since we've been on Odyssey. We've been uncensored. And we've been discussing how basically Macron will win any election. Trudeau will win any election. Any of these people will win any election. It's not going to be real, though. It's all staged. None of it's real. And I'll give you some proof in this video. Anyways, I got an email from a Lin Yu who watches me very closely. And basically, I'm going to get to the bread and butter here, the meat and potatoes. No, bread and butter, no. Meat and potatoes of this email that was sent to me. Thank you, Lynn, for sending me this. Now, it goes on to say, Mike, how did you know? A Macron win? So she's talking about how I kept saying Macron will win the election. And I kept saying if the Liberal government in Canada called a snap election, they will win. And it will, obviously, we know why. So a Macron win. You are getting a hard time with a few of your followers who stated that no one will vote for Macron. The people that were telling us that no one will vote for Macron were right. No one will vote for that guy. Because we'll go into the history why, and it's kind of important. We can kind of break down this timeline for you guys. Now I see 2019 was the year of the protest. That's what we've been talking about for years now. Because we've been covering the protests on 2019 on Mike of the Night, and they were pushing for a climate change, a climate lockdown. They were looking for more of a climate way out of it instead of pulling the trigger on the pandemic, which we also predicted on the channel. And yes, I now see your vision. Keep up the good work, Lin Yu. So I wanted to share that with you guys because it's prompting me to make this video. And it's prompting me to kind of get the message out there. Yes, it doesn't matter who. Macron was in power. So let's get over to what I'm trying to say here so I don't mix things up here. So here it is. A Macron win. 2022 presidential election results. Canada was the first 2 days ago. Canada's always the first to promote or discuss fake election results. Always. They're always days ahead of everybody else. Look at that. Canada's always ahead. There it is right there. Now, I had someone email me telling me they could swear. They swear up and down that on the live television, they removed 1 million votes live from Le Pen. Just disappeared from the election results. Or not the election results, during the election count up towards the final minutes. They could swear 1 million votes were removed, and a lot of people were yelling at their TVs. So there it is right there. Macron will win. He has to win. Now, we're going back to the protests, but France has always been protesting during the lockdowns. There's France protests right there. That's from 22 hours ago. Dramatic protesters after Macron wins French election. That's misinformation because he won it on paper, or didn't win it on paper. I think he won it on media, but on paper the people are obviously different, or the different results. Protests in Paris and Lyon as France Macron is reelected. So it keeps going. Look, election day in France, and that's what you're seeing across France right now. Now, this is not old news, because if you go back to 2019, we were talking about the year of protest, right? 2019, the year of protest for France. Remember, the whole world was protesting in 2019 against corrupt governments. People lost confidence in governments, and people had no more confidence in governments. And France, the Gilets jaunes, the Yellow Vest movement, they even organized bank runs. There was a no confidence vote, and people were just organizing bank runs in France. The problem with that, the European Union, or the euro, is not a strong currency on paper. It's weak, but it's a strong currency in how many countries are in the union. So for France to do a bank run, they need France, Bulgaria, Italy, Germany, Poland. They need all the countries that are under that same currency. If France had its own franc, its own independent currency, was not part of the euro, I think France would have had a lot of trouble with bank runs and a lot of no confidence in government, bank runoffs. And you would have seen that in 2019 in France. But the organized withdrawals of the money from the banks was tough in just one situated country in the European Union. So there it is right there. And it goes in to say, the demonstration left 11 protesters and police dead and more than 4,000 injured, according to the French government. At least 8,400 people have been arrested since the beginning of the Yellow Vest protests. 2,000 remained in custody. Wow. On December 5th, so this is December 5th, guys, 2019, just before they pulled the trigger on the pandemic. Workers would get full pension if they retire at 64. If they retire before, they would lose 5% for every year they retire. So there was austerity measures in France, right? And Macron was not. Yellow vests, blue vests, and red scarves. Here's why French are protesting. So there it is right there, 2019. So we got to document all this stuff because they're going to start removing all this stuff. France has witnessed a widespread of civil unrest and dramatic anti-government protests for over 2 months now, but the counter-revolution has started. So this is February, the beginning of 2019. So 2 months. So they were in November of 2018, the Yellow Vest movement was moving strong. Right? France has been racked with civil unrest and anti-government protests for over 2 months now, with the Yellow Vest protesters taking to the streets of towns and cities throughout France. Demonstrations have often turned violent, leading to dramatic clashes with the French riot police. So there it is right there, and this is what was happening. This was what happening in 2019, and that's why I keep saying 2019, the year of the protest. More than 80,000 people march against Macron as strikes grip France. Again, transport workers bring country to a standstill amid anger over pension changes. So these are austerity measures, and France was caught many times screwing around with people's pensions and people's livelihoods. As the price of things go up, their pensions were stripped down, right? More than 800,000 people marched across French cities. So there it is there. Again, this is from 2019, and it got out of hand. People were tired. People didn't want this anymore. People wanted Macron out. And Macron didn't go out. And Macron got reelected, even though the entire country is not behind him. 2019 is a year of protest. Almost every country was at protest. They ousted 31 governments that year. 2019, the year of protest. 2020 will be the year of lockdown, the year of the lockdown. And so there it is right there. That's all broken down there on an older YouTube play I did. 2022, the year of the protest again. My predictions. 2019 was a global protest, and then I basically go into saying 2022 will be the year of the protest again. There's, again, Yellow Vest movements there. 3 years ago, we're reporting on the channel. So it goes into, look at that, farmers not happy. So it goes into that other page there. But I wanted to show you this guy, the Liberal government, and I wanted to show it right here, how it happened in Canada. Same thing. Liberal government will call a snap election and win. And if you go to the date, it was well before, 9 months before they called a snap election. And they said the Liberal government will call a snap election and win. And they won. And basically, again, it was because in-person voting was dangerous. When they used a whole mail-in ballot system, that's obviously ripe with corruption, ripe with destruction, and ripe with robbing the people's will, the people's voice. Because when you vote, you surrender your vote to give your power to whoever you want to vote for or whoever you want to put in power. And that's the scary part. I knew they were going to call a snap election in Canada a year before, or 9 months before they did, and I knew the Liberal government was going to win. Not because people voted for them, because it's all fixed. All of this is fixed. And now they're coming out after us to regulate and dismantle social media platforms to get people to hush hush, right? So, and in the United States, they're also doing the same thing where they're deregulating the Constitution and trying to go against free speech and destroy what little media, social media discussion we have left. We're going to have to go to ham radio soon because that's the way it's headed. Macron win? Yes. I predicted it many times, not because I like him, because I hate that guy. But the problem is, he will win, not because the people voted for him, it's because he is needed. He is needed, just like Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, Scott Morrison. All these people are needed because they are ushering in and bringing in Agenda 20. And Agenda 2030 is no joke. Go back to watch the replays on Mike in the Night. You can find us on Odyssey. Watch replays on Mike in the Night. This Saturday we'll be going live again. Mike in the Night with your call-ins. We're going to have a big call-in show this Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Don't forget to join us. And we're going to go over world events. What's going on in your neck of the woods? Call in. Let us know. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.